everyone, and thanks for standing by. And want to welcome you guys to today's session in the ReadyTalk web seminar series. We put together this series here with the purpose basically of building a community where you can interact with some of our experts on a variety of topics. Hopefully you'll enhance your organization's success and your own personal development as well. Today's seminar is entitled, Has Your Conferencing Provider Evolved? This is actually a kickoff event for a new series that we're putting on called The Evolution of Conferencing. So keep your eye out for some upcoming events that we will be having in the following months. Joining us today to shed some light on the topic is Sean Cardinal, who's actually the Training Director here at ReadyTalk. We also have Mike McKinnon, who's in charge of demand and lead generation on our marketing team. And then we have a special guest today from Rima Technologies, Bradley Kravitz, who heads up their marketing operations over there. So we're glad to have you all join us on the call today. During today's presentation, today's participants will be in a listen-only mode. However, I encourage you, if you do have some questions, feel free to chat them into the lower left-hand corner of your screen, and we'll be sure to queue those up throughout the presentation and then leave some time at the end for some Q&A. Also, if you'd like to learn a little bit more about ReadyTalk in general after today's presentation, just stick around. We could take you through a couple slides, answer any questions that you might have, and we'll leave the majority of the presentation, though, for the actual event. Just as a reminder, too, before we get started, today's event is being recorded Wednesday, July 21st, and we'll send that out to you all following the event this afternoon. And also be sure to stick around and fill out the post-event survey if you get a chance after the event. So on that note, I am going to hand it off to Sean to kick off our call today.
Excellent. Thank you, Simone, and thank you, Bradley, and thank you, Mike, for giving this presentation together today. This is a really interesting topic for me. I've been here at ReadyTalk for a pretty long time, enough time to see our product and service evolve. And I've been lucky enough, because I work with a lot of our customers day in and day out, to see not only how their business has evolved, but really how that connection has changed between how they leverage, utilize, partner with their conferencing provider. Obviously, I've talked about or talked with some folks who had a previous provider, and now they decided that ReadyTalk was the right direction for them. So we've seen some really neat changes out there in the marketplace. What I'll be talking about kind of at a high level are some of the things that I've experienced, and then we'll talk a little bit about some more specifics with Mike and Bradley. So just in a general sense, when I first started here at ReadyTalk, we were primarily audio conferencing, and we had this web thing that we built that was pretty cool. Throughout the years, that has morphed and changed, and it's really turned into an integral collaboration, communication, and lead generation tool for a lot of folks. And through that process, we've seen a lot of other technological changes that we've realized that are really valuable out there in the marketplace. So one of the things that I've seen is a real sweeping change. You know, you talk about things that have really changed the landscape or the environment out there in the world. One kind of strange example, it's not really that strange, I guess. One example would be the remote control. And I think that's a really neat example where that one small device really changed the way advertising and marketing was designed, written, the timing of things. It really made sweeping changes, not just in people sitting down. I mean, you could think about the sedentary lifestyle and all that kind of stuff. But there were a lot of changes that happened because of that introduction. Let's bring this back to ground zero here, and we'll think about the conferencing side of things. One piece in the marketing and communication world that is just a tremendous phenomenon is this social media. That's something that we have recognized, and of course we're tightly integrated with the most popular social media sites. But that's something that has really changed over the years, and how organizations and individuals communicate back and forth. So those are some things that I want you to be thinking about with your current provider and how they're helping move along with all these technological advancements. We've also seen, this is tying with technology. The idea is, well, we're going to add this technology and we're going to free up so much time, we'll be a lot more efficient, and we'll have to work less hard. Well, that's not really the case. It just becomes more efficient to cram more stuff in a day. So I've run into a lot more people who have a really wide variety of responsibilities that they need to do on a given day. These folks who are really asked to do this multitasking. Again, from my experience, it's folks saying, "Hey, Sean, I'm one of these marketing guys. I'm this training guy who works close with marketing and sales. I don't do webinars every day. Make it easy for me. Help. This is just one small piece of what I do every single day, but I got to get it done. I can't travel. I can't do this from all these remote locations. Help me out. Make it easy. I don't need to learn all this stuff." So we're reaching a different group of people as well. The folks that I talk to are now changing from, well, I'm the AV guy or I'm the technology guy. It's, hey, I'm just a marketing person, I'm a salesperson, I need to use this stuff. So there's a lot of folks multitasking, need to use these tools out there as well. This kind of thing I think goes without saying. In the years that I've been here, the communications have been very interesting, even before, and I know it sounds cliche, the tough economic times that we're in right now. Not to discount that, but we hear that phrase a lot. But we truly are under tight marketing constraints. And we should always be under tight marketing constraints because you know what? You don't want to be wasting money. You don't want to be doing that. So this ties back into kind of that social media side of things, which is practically free. But back to the communications that I've heard, back when I first started, the conversations were more along the lines of, hey, Sean, I don't feel like traveling anymore. I think this is a really neat technology. We want to be technology leaders and lead with this cutting-edge way to present material to a large audience all across the world or the country. And then the comments turned to, my budget was slashed. I can't train. Help. I need something to help accomplish my goals and my company's objectives, and this is a technology that's going to help it out. And please make it easy and affordable, because if it's not affordable, well, I'm just going to get on a plane and go do this. Bringing back this human element. Now, I'm sitting here. I'm talking to nobody, so to speak. There's no live audience members in my room. But I'm hoping that you get the feel that I'm a real person, that I'm trying to connect with you. I'm a normal guy. I work, I have a job, I have a family, I do all that kind of stuff. But I want to bring that connection together. And bringing back that human element can take its definition in a lot of ways. What I like to be able to do is put pictures out there, tell a little bit about myself, so when people do get on there randomly or remotely, there's not just some random guy out there just talking to them. They know a little bit about me. There's the ability to build rapport. You can get a little sense of a little bit of my personality. You can probably tell I'm a high-energy guy. That there's something to be said for an engaged presenter and getting people involved with that as well. So those are some of the pieces that I like to talk about with some of those things. Some great comments have come on in about how this business world has changed. I'm actually going to turn over to my one of my partners in crime over here, Mike, to talk a little bit about some of the mindset for some of the folks out there with budgets and marketing. 'Cause I know you work pretty tightly with lead gen folks.
Yeah, one of the things that I've experienced actually in bringing back this human element, and it actually goes back to being, having tighter budgets as well, is, people expect more for their money. I have a tight budget, and when something goes wrong, I want a person to call. I mean, we've seen that trend come back. In the 90s, it was all about technology. I don't want to talk to anyone. I want everything online. I want my banking online. I want to be able to order my food online. I want to be able to go to Amazon.com and buy everything online. I never want to talk to anyone. And we've seen that trend change. Now it's, well, I'm paying good money for this service or this product. If it breaks, I want someone to talk to. And we're kind of seeing that come back around in the 21st century, in this first decade, where the budgets are tighter, so people are expecting more. They expect their dollar to go further. They expect more value for their dollar. So that's what we've seen here, is that people want people back in the equation, and you kind of have to look at what your service is doing to help support that need going forward. Are they adding people? Are they driving you to automated phone systems? What are they doing to help support that emerging trend?
That's a really great point. And actually, Mike, I've worked with a couple of organizations just as of late. They're medium-sized companies, not really big and not really small, but they don't have voicemail at all. And you ask, we're parrots, and I go, okay, well, just if they're not there, let me just get their voicemail. That didn't happen. They said, no, I'll take a message. Can I take a message down for you? And I thought that was really refreshing. So not only in the day-to-day business, handlings, between customers that way, I really like that human element coming back. Even here at ReadyTalk, some of the things we talk about in the training side of things, I create some pre-recorded trainings. So I use that technology to help increase my reach and maybe a little bit of the scope of some things I can talk about. But in our conversations, when we work with our support folks, one side of things, and we're very careful to orchestrate this with our other managers when we're training them, is to say, hey, we do have this automatic self-serve recording that we could send to you. But you know what? We have live trainings. We have this support person over here who'd be happy to talk to you right now. Your account manager can be made available. Let me go see if they're around. They'll call you back in 10 minutes. And I think that goes throughout all facets of your business. And I think that this is a really important thing in this 21st century. I really, really, really think so. Anyway, let's move on through the social media piece. I have a couple of questions I just want to ask just to kind of gauge what you guys are all about a little bit. I'm really curious about, and if you know this, of course, is if your organization currently leverages any social media outlets. You may or may not know, and this would be different than, hi, this is Pat's Facebook page and I work for XYZ company. And it'll be a little bit more than that. All right, well, it looks like a majority of you guys are currently leveraging, I'm going to answer as well here, some social media outlets. That's great. Of these three more popular ones, do you guys know you can check all that apply? Well, it looks like a lot of you guys are using multiple outlets, and that's a really important thing. And Mike's pretty close to the social media side of things, as well as Simone. After I close this poll down, I'm going to turn things over to Mike because this is really interesting information about leveraging multiple social media outlets. And I'm going to turn over to that next slide and get that rolling for you because I think that's a really important point for Mike to talk about.
Great, thanks, Sean.
Thanks.
Yeah, one of the emerging trends we've seen is the emergence of social media as a business tool. Frost & Sullivan did a survey for us a while back, and they estimate that 66% of employees use social media in their work every day. That's a large group of people that are using social media to do work. So that's something that, as a social media user, you need to look at your providers and your services. Are they supporting your use of social media, and how are they doing that? So is your service adopting the use of social media just as you are adopting that usage, or are they kind of lagging behind the trend and haven't brought in the new tools so you could use them as well? So that's one of the things we're looking at here. So not only are people using it more, but they're also using they're using it to do webinars. They're using it to spread their recordings around. They're using it to promote their webinars. They're also using it because their budgets are tighter. So it's being used for multiple reasons. And regardless of that reason, you need to make sure that whatever service provider you go with is supporting your usage of that in the best way as possible. You don't want to be signing up with any service, regardless of whether it's web conferencing or marketing automation or even Salesforce, your database. You don't want to be using any service that's not integrating these new tools into that service on an ongoing basis, because what will happen is you'll just be left behind. So I think right here, I think Bradley is going to have some nice insight as to how his company uses social media, and I'm going to just turn it over to him right now.
Fantastic. Thanks. Thanks very much. There's a lot of things that we started working on, some recently, some that we've been working on for a while. From a social media perspective, we had initially started out with our community and Twitter. Our community runs a weekly webinar series called the Product Management View, and within that, we started integrating Twitter specifically, not so that obviously so that we can promote the actual webinar itself, but also to look at not only having people during typing questions into a chat window within our interface, but to actually start having the conversation on Twitter. And then the conversation itself, once we posted the video after the conference, would continue. Within our community and using Twitter, there would be a continuing conversation about that particular topic that was discussed on that day. So that was one way that we started to use it. Another way that we're looking to use it is we have a a LinkedIn page coming up very shortly that we're looking to integrate as well, and we're going to start putting out that type of information. Facebook is also something that we are starting to look at very recently. So it's absolutely integral that all the tools that we look at, whether they're conferencing tools, survey tools, CRM tools, as you'd mentioned, integrate with these social media tools in one way or another. It's absolutely imperative, because what we're finding as marketers is that it's no longer a one-way conversation where we're screaming at the top of our lungs that our product is the best in the world and you should buy it for these reasons. It's now become a conversation, a two-way conversation, where we're building a level of trust through social media, through the information that we bring to the market, and the feedback that we get back from that, of course, cycles back into marketing so that we're actually working and providing products that people actually want to buy based on their needs and issues that they're facing. Does that help?
It really does. One of the things that I've found, at least from the feedback and really the benefits of that social media, is that credibility that's built behind the scenes. You can hear about how great I think my product is, but the moment that one of my friends or fans or somebody that I'm connected with through LinkedIn says, as a matter of fact, that guy's right. I actually use that product or service. It's robust, it's easy, it's affordable, it helps me do better things in my job every day. That is a lot more compelling than Sean saying ReadyTalk's the best, we have the best support team, and we have an incredible product that's going to do great things for you every single day.
And at the end of the day, it's your job to say that.
That's
right? You're not going to come in and say, well, listen, really, my product's it's not so good.
Right.
And really, at the end of the day, I really don't think you should buy us. But if you have a community that's out there and they're talking about your product, or customers such as myself, and I'll freely admit that I'm a ReadyTalk customer, but I've been using conferencing tools for the last 12 years at various software companies that I've worked at, and going back to the human element and the community that you guys provide and the information that you get back to me, and the fact that you listen to any feedback that you provide because of the human element that ReadyTalk provides is huge. It's huge, and honestly, recently I had no choice because of a new hire of a VP of marketing to do due diligence on all the tools that we're using internally, including our conferencing tool, and we've been with ReadyTalk for the last few years. And I had to go to your competition, and I had to look and see what was there. And at the end of the day, and this goes to a couple slides before, we were dealing with cost issues, and we were dealing with a human element issue. And at the end of the day, all the vendors I spoke to, it came down to cost and the human element, and none of them, except ReadyTalk, could provide that to me. And ultimately, that was a deciding factor, because at the end of the day, anytime you go up against any competition when it comes to a tool, there are things that they will do better than their competition, and the competition will do some things better than them. And typically, the tools are almost, I won't say identical, but they're similar. And so really, it doesn't come down. As long as it provides the functionality that I require, great. That's one check mark. And I mean, that's a wide spectrum of what functionality would be. To me, at the end of the day, it became down to a human element and cost. And ReadyTalk was far beyond any other competition. So that was extremely important to me.
I think that's just another such a great point. Of course, I work with a lot of folks, and I know what the other providers are doing out there. And if you were to build a matrix with check marks and check boxes and just build a big table or something, for the most part, like you said, Brad, you could lay these matrices over each other, and they'd almost be identical. Where's the real differentiator? I mean, really, where does it come down? And I'm finding, whether it's in our conferencing tools, how we interface with our customers, and that gets down to our customers interfacing with that third, that one step beyond, is that human element, making sure that you can leverage this tool that we've done a pretty good job at interjecting our culture into our product itself, try to lend that to what you guys are doing.
No, it's absolutely fantastic.
Yeah, that is good. So let's move into some of the pieces, some of the things that we'd like to for you guys to be considering as you're looking at social media outlets, some of those aspects that hopefully will help you make the right decision for yourself. Mike does a lot of this stuff. I'm going to turn things back over to him real quick.
Thanks, Sean. So,
Yeah.
now that we've established, okay, so we are using social media in our everyday work. Sometimes we use it for our personal work at work, but everyone's using it, and it's being adopted more and more. So now, moving forward, what do we want to consider when we're looking at any provider? Like I said before, is it a database provider? Is it a CRM solution? Is it a conferencing tool? Is it a marketing automation tool? Any provider. What are some of the things you should be looking for since you use social media? What are the things that you should be looking for in a provider so they can support that usage? So one of the things you want to look for is, do they have integrated social media tools right from that service? Salesforce does a great job of this. Salesforce has an app called TwitterForce. They have an app called Chatter. These are both social media tools that they've built directly into their application. So it allows you to track. TwitterForce allows you to track Twitter comments, allows you to post Twitter comments right from Salesforce, and allows you to attach tweets to certain accounts and contacts. So it's integrated right within the platform. Another thing specifically to conferencing services would be, does your service allow you to post recordings, webinar invites, registration pages directly to the social media channels of your choice? So you don't actually have to go to Facebook, log in your account, and copy and paste stuff into Facebook. You can do it right from one platform, and it shows up on Facebook, it shows up on Twitter, LinkedIn, wherever you want to go. Another thing you want to look for too is not only do my tools integrate, but they also meet the viewer's expectation of what that tool should look like. So not only is social media being adapted because of its usefulness, but if you also notice, social media apps are really slick. TweetDeck is a really slick application. Facebook, could be argued that their UI is not so slick. But a lot of the stuff looks really good. You go to YouTube, and YouTube is now the default view of what a video should look like when you're watching video on the internet, if you haven't noticed that. It's embedded. It's got the play button embedded at the bottom. It's got social media things like you can vote on it. Do you like it? Do you not like it? You can comment on it. So YouTube has kind of been the default UI for now posting videos. So does the service or provider you're going for, does it meet that viewer expectation? Because again, if you're using, for instance, our recording service embeds, just like YouTube, into websites. So when someone watches a video that's been made on ReadyTalk and embedded, it looks just like YouTube. So it meets that viewer's expectation. That does two things. One, they'll continue to look at it. And two, it lets them know that you know what you're doing. So it gives them the idea that you are a sophisticated service that can meet their expectations of their viewing expectations, basically. So if the flip side of that would be if I went to look at a video and it popped up over my screen and took me away from the web page and opened up another browser, that's not expected behavior for watching a video. So that might cause me to close it and leave your website. So you just want to make sure that yes, your provider is integrating with these tools, you want to make sure that they're also meeting the expectations that these tools have set with your audience.
Excellent, excellent, excellent. I've seen a lot of good traction on this recording side of things from folks wanting to be sure that they can spread the word as easily as they can. There's some folks recently, it was actually just a couple days ago. Actually, Brad, it may have been you. I talk with a lot of folks. I apologize for that. But there are some recording providers where you can record content online. I'm not going to mention the name of it because I actually use it every now and again. It's a little more complicated than what we do here. Works really well, but it comes down to the time. The integrated solution side of things, and it actually ties into what we're about to talk about, is this jack of all trades. How do we build efficiencies into all the things we want to do, but I'm not somebody who knows how to create all this content from scratch? Which leads me to all this multitasking side of things. No longer are we all specialists and work for one company for 40 years. I mean, we may be specialized in our area, but we all carry a lot of different experiences. So what does that really mean? Well, is your conferencing provider keeping up with that? One aspect I like to think about is, these conferencing services are conference services. You can share websites and slides and collaborate and do those kind of things. What we've seen out there in the market is, well, depending on your functional area, you have to choose a different type of platform or something. But if you're a marketing person, you're doing a training, well, but during that training, it's actually kind of a webinar, but you're collaborating during that training. Which tab do I select? Make it easy for people. That's what I got to say. So we just want to be sure that you're talking about those pieces in a coherent manner. For those folks who aren't webinar professionals, this is what I do every day. It would be easy for me to do that stuff. But for the folks who are doing a lot of different things, wearing a lot of different hats, make sure that the tools that you're using allow you to easily, just from a mindset shift from a webinar mindset to now I'm going to do training, to now I'm going to do collaboration. So make sure that as you're pulling those pieces together, you're thinking about all of the different functions that you're going to need versus collaborating from webinars to training and those kind of things. What I think is also nice about this, you leveraging these your conferencing as we've evolved through these years, is that you can bring branding elements to it. You can add trainings to as a complement to your live training aspects, and you can do a lot of different things with one platform. The recording aspect can be really nice because you can still share that information along with everybody else, depending on what kind of recording or capturing with chats or polling questions, etc. So, Mike, as we're going through considerations for products that are going to help address the multitasking side of things, making it easy for somebody to do a lot of different things, what are some of the things that you think we should consider?
Yeah, so the trend we're seeing is that as a marketer, and it's certainly happening here, is that we're asked to do more. So gone are the days of specialization where I do trade shows and that's it. So now as a marketer, we do everything. So one day we do a webinar, the next day we train clients, the next day we give a demo of a software to an agency. So you need to make sure that, as Sean said, any product that you go out and source is going to be able to jump seamlessly from what you do. So one day you're doing a training, the product can do that, and the next day you're doing a webinar, the product can do that. And this holds true for everything. Your CRM, your Microsoft Office does that. It's got Word, Excel, and PowerPoint all bundled in it. So it's a product that can jump between your different tasks during a day. So when you go out looking at a conferencing provider, you want to make sure that that you get a product that can actually support everything you do. And a trend we're seeing in the industry is that a lot of providers have broken out their product arbitrarily into different business units depending on what they decide you need. For instance, several conferencing companies now have different products for events, for training, and for collaboration. And each one of those products has a different feature set. But who's to say that you might need one particular feature from events and then one particular feature from the collaboration product? But you can't have them both because they're each separated and you can't use, and you say you have a collaboration meeting and you want to send out emails, you can't because the email engine is in the event product. At ReadyTalk, we actually don't do that. We just say, here's all the functionality. You do with it what you want, and you use what you want, and it's always there. If all of a sudden one day you want to do events, you don't have to call us. It's not a new product. It's not a new price point. It's not a new UI, and that's a huge deal. So we support the way you do work, because the way you do work is you'll jump from function to function to function throughout the day. And with us, you never have to come back and buy a new product, get a new UI, new price point, and whatnot. And I know Bradley has some really anecdotal stories about this as well, because he's been doing webinars for a long time, and he's the kind of person that will jump from kind of event to collaboration to training and whatnot. But I know Bradley can have.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it was clearly evident to me even way back in the day, not to age myself in any way, shape, or form, that even in the early days, Conferencing Solutions had the ability not only for me from a sales perspective to go out and demo my product and save the company in travel costs for me traveling, which of course I still had to do, but obviously the Conferencing Solution helped. What ended up happening was that we saw our support people start to use the tool, so that when customers had problems with our particular software tool, that they could log in, take control of their screen, and start fixing problems. And this was fantastic. And then it started to escalate even further, where we now started seeing training become a piece of the puzzle. And you were absolutely right in what you were saying, where most vendors, especially after I've recently done a due diligence, that these become separate tools or components or modules that you need to purchase in order to do these variety of things. With the ReadyTalk tool, we initially had started out with using it just for sales and support. It's now blossomed, and using the same tool and being the administrator of the tool, for me it's much easier in the fact that I don't have to train anyone on the tool. It's very simple, it's very straightforward. And now we're at the point where we're dealing with enterprise-level customers where we have upwards of 200 people in any given contract that we need to train at these locations. And not only that, we're able to record those trainings, and because we record those trainings, people can review them. And all the material obviously is based on that particular implementation. So now it's gone way beyond what either myself I could have ever seen happening with a conferencing tool, and moving now, as we discussed, into social media, which is now going even further than I thought it could ever go. You had mentioned even the embedding of video. I mean, our new launch of our community website, which is going to be the end of August, it's going to be absolutely integral that the videos either in our communities of practice that are created through our partners or through our Product Management View webinar series, these are things that we need to post fast. People expect it. We just ran a webinar today. However, I'm with you, everyone, today, but I will get to posting my webinar later on this afternoon, but they expect to get it right away because anything they may have missed, they want to view it right away. And it, again, correct, we don't want them going to a new page. We want it to open up within the page, that same look and feel of YouTube. And that's the direction we're heading in. So very impressive, the direction it's headed. I think the evolution icon at the beginning of the slides really hits the nail on the head. We went from dragging our knuckles to sitting at our desk and actually being productive with the many hats that we wear.
Yeah, we really can. And you know, these multitaskers, and I'll just reiterate something that I think is so important, especially the folks that I talk with every day, is that you don't have to really kill yourself about learning, you know, a new service if you need to do a training versus work on a meeting together with somebody across the world. It's all the same. I think that's a really important piece. Nobody wants to learn new software every 3 days. That's for sure.
And I think you had brought up another point just from a time constraint, is the fact that I was in the past before I was using ReadyTalk, using another tool to run my web events where literally by the time I'd have to use a third-party tool to record the video with a phone tab. And be able to record the video. Then I'd have to edit the video, which took a lot of work in order to edit and get the sound right. And then I would have to convert that video and then upload that video and then post that video. That whole process would take me anywhere from 3 to 4 hours in my day, and that was ridiculous. And then getting on board with ReadyTalk, it now took me 15 minutes. I mean, that's alone, even if your tool didn't even have 1/5 of the functionality that the other tools had, as long as it was able to record my webinar and get me that save me that 3 hours and 45 minutes, it's worth its weight in gold.
Oh, that is huge. You know, and that timing piece I think is so important. You know, when we talk about folks who wear a lot of hats and, you know, where they put their priorities every day and those kind of things, if giving presentations and webinars really isn't your cup of tea, I guarantee you people are going to put that to the bottom of the list. They're going to make it the last thing that they do. They're going to procrastinate, and then they're going to be really stressed when they have to give this presentation. So once again, as you're considering your providers and how they're changing, sure, in some cases providers have given, you know, umpteen crazy tools and options and features and those kind of things, and it's great, and you know, they're a lot of fun. You know, like Excel. Excel's a great tool. I only use maybe 1% of the tools in it because I don't have the time to learn and I don't need to learn those other things. So back to the conferencing side of things, if you're somebody who has to do these webinars or these conferences, make sure it's easy for your folks, your employees, yourself. So if you know yourself well enough, you're going to leave it to the last minute. Make sure you have to kill yourself to learn a very complicated product. Or even on the back end, like Brad was just saying, maybe delivering the presentation was easy, but really pulling together the back end follow-up and takeaways, 3 to 4 hours is ridiculous. That is absolutely ridiculous. I've done that product that you used, I've used myself, so I know exactly what you're talking about.
Right.
And it's a great product. I'm not going to mention, but it's a great product. It just takes me way too much time.
Yeah, at the end of the day, the KISS system rolls, right?
Yeah,
so
it does.
It just really does.
Yeah, I couldn't agree with you more. Tight budgets. Well, yeah, I know it sounds cliche in these tough economic times. But even so, what's really been interesting as the tough economic times, conferencing providers have really recognized that these tools that we provide are really important for folks. It's really important for people to continue to communicate and make sure that you can deliver a message, whatever kind of message that is, in a timely manner, easily, without spending a whole ton of money or time. So as you can see all these bullets here. We can see, we live this every single day. The decreasing budgets. We want to make sure that every cent that we spend is as efficiently spent as possible, and make sure that these experiences, even though maybe it's not a live big conference in Vegas for a whole weekend. All right, maybe that's a little exaggeration. Still give folks enough of that experience to make it worthwhile and memorable. So as we're going through some of these pieces as far as reaching out to more folks, adding that human element, and stretching that budget, we worked with a lot of folks on the event side of things. So it's really making a high-profile, large audience and reaching a lot of folks at one time. There's different facets of conferencing, whether it's on-demand, collaboration, or training, or those kind of things. What I think we want to talk about now is more on the high-profile. We might call them events here at ReadyTalk, but it could be a large audience webinar. And some of these pieces that you're reading here are really important. Mike, why don't we talk a little bit about those pieces there as far as the event side of things, and really these symbols over here I think are probably the most important things that people really consider. It's this and the people who are behind it. So let's talk a little bit about this piece, Mike.
Great. So yeah, as everyone knows, budgets are much tighter. So what is your provider, conferencing or not, doing to help you work within that tight budget? What we're seeing, a trend in the industry we're seeing is one pricing. So one price audio and web conferencing. Keep everything simple. That's a trend you might see in the next year and a half, 2 years start popping up, where you get one price, 10 cents for audio and web. So you get one bill and it's got one price on it. Another trend we're seeing is all-inclusive webinar pricing. You need to know how much your event's going to cost before it goes off. You can't have that fluctuating cost. So that's another trend we're seeing, $1,000 or whatever that is for everything. And $1,000 gets you as many attendees as you want, up to X amount. It gets you X amount of hours of consulting, gets you audio and web. So it's one fee, it's easy to budget for, and it's an emerging trend. Another thing we're seeing is, one of the things we're trying to get away from is a lot of the hidden fees that are being attached to a lot of these products. Conferencing in particular has a lot of conferencing fees, unused line fees, reserved line fees, hidden charges, and on this next slide we can see some of these things. Conference minimum charge, telecom surcharge, recovery fees. These are all just random fees that you shouldn't be being charged. If they're on your bill, you need to seriously ask your telecom or your provider what they are and what you're being billed for, because they certainly don't show up on a ReadyTalk bill. The only thing you should be getting charged for is the FUSF fee, which is the Federal Universal Service Fee, which is basically a tax on all telecom companies that helps pay for telecom lines in rural areas. So it's a tax, and that's really the only fee that should be showing up on your bill. The FUSF and any taxes, state or state tax. If you have all these other fees, it's just your service provider trying to nickel and dime you because their budgets are tight. So you want to make sure that your provider is working with you to make sure that whatever they're providing can fit within your budget and not hitting you with any of these random fees that they can hit you with. And I know Bradley, being a marketer, has struggled this as well, so I'm going to let him comment a little bit on what he's seen out there.
Absolutely. This was, again, a huge deciding factor to continue the relationship with ReadyTalk because of what you were able to offer. No other provider was able to tell me exactly what a web event would cost me. Some I would actually have to pay per person per minute. Now, my problem with that is my web events can range from for example, today, 80 registrants up to 700 registrants. And on average, our absolute average through a year's worth of numbers of running about 50 webinars, we have a 50 to 60% attendance rate. So figure the numbers. How do I measure my cost or budget my cost from 40 people that attend to 350? I can't budget that. What that means is I'm going to have an extremely angry boss, right? So if I start putting these events and all of a sudden we hit a topic that's really hot, and we had budgeted one price for, say, our regular average was 150, and that balloons, it doubles or triples, what do I do then? Right, especially if I don't generate the leads that I'm supposed to generate. If I don't generate triple the leads, then how do I justify the cost? So at the end of the day, ReadyTalk was able to work with me and provide me a package that gives me the web event conferencing that I need from dial-in and web audio and operated assisted for one cost. Now I know exactly what my webinars are going to cost me day in, day out. I can budget them. I can run campaigns against them because now I know what my campaign costs. Now when I generate leads, the end result for me is now I know what it cost me per lead that came from those web events. Now, as soon as I'm able to measure that, then I look like a hero to my boss. And making me look like a hero, especially when I'm the one that's going to approve your tool, that's a good thing. That's good sales right there.
Yeah, and measuring that ROI against the qualified leads that come on in when you have 1,300 people versus 20, and you still get the same number of leads come in, that's a tough conversation to have with your boss.
Well, yeah, usually I'll take the day off.
Yeah, that's a good thing. Yeah, that is a good thing. And that predictability is so good. I think it is so important. Years ago, before we had changed some of the platforms and the way the technology works in the background, some folks did get surprised. They were expecting typically 40 to 50 people, and then they got 300 people once, and we all looked around each other in the office and went, "Oh, they're going to get a big bill. Let's figure out how we can make this a little bit easier on folks." So as things go forward, it's easier for them to predict that. I'm going to move on to this something that's important to me, I would say. Oops, I skipped over a slide here, which is the human element. This is something that is part of our culture here at ReadyTalk. I love this quote at the top. People when you need them, technology when you don't. And make sure you offer both. Make sure you offer both. Make sure it's available. I don't know what your experience out there in the world is anymore, you guys. I haven't seen a lot of support we have to pay for anymore. I know I used to get into that a lot, and I wouldn't buy that product anymore. I think the other part of that is having an actual person talk to you. And when I say actual person, well, what I think I want to get to is not just some random person who has a job who's sitting in a room with 400 other people on the telephone. Somebody who actually cares. They care about the company. They care about the customer. I can speak about the folks that I get to work with every day. I'm a lucky person to get to work with these folks here at ReadyTalk. They care. They absolutely care. The little joke that we have is, hey, person who called in who needs help, we want to make sure you look really, really good. Really, really good. But most importantly, we want you to look good in front of your bosses. So you can continue to do this and feel really good about what you do every day. So we make it easy. We have an incredibly knowledgeable and friendly group here, and I think that's really important. And that is something that I hear day in, day out. Sean, we've moved providers because you people actually pick up the phone and you talk to me. And you spend the time. Your team takes the time to talk with me. I had a successful experience in front of all the C-level people because of you. And that is something you should be looking for, not only in conferencing, but every vendor and every provider you look for. Ask for it. Don't be shy to ask for it. They may talk about it. They may say they have it available, but put them to task. I think it makes a huge difference in who you're choosing out there. I really, really think that's important. Now we have technology and actual live people. Other things I like to mention out there is utilizing technology and a live person. Well, how do you do that? Well, it's on a telephone. Well, like instant chat features. We've got a chat message that allows you to chat with our support team during business hours, like a 13-hour time frame, where you can chat and type instant messages. Again, we know that this isn't the top priority in what you do every single day. For a lot of you it may be. For me it sure is. But we want to make sure that support is available to you and in a timely manner. Now that chat feature, I actually demonstrate this on my trainings, and our support team does not know when or if I'm going to do this. I will do a test question and type it on in. I get an answer in about 8 seconds. I'm not kidding you. 8 seconds, 10 seconds. Hi, how can I help you? And then they see it's me, and then they pick on me a little bit. But it's a really important piece how quickly they can get to you. I would be a little bit hesitant if there's a 14-step phone tree to get somewhere. Nobody likes being passed along and have the phone ring 14 different times to have what you think is a simple question asked. So make sure that it's available and it's quickly available. I really like that picture, by the way. I think that's really good. Well, free service, well, you're paying for the service to use it. We want you to be successful. At the very least, your provider, again, for conferencing or whatever vendor, they should be supporting you in all of your endeavors and make sure you are successful in that. If you're paying for support to make sure you learn how to use the product that you've purchased already, again, I'd scratch my head with that just a little bit. I think that is not the right way to do business, and make sure that you have a team there that's there to support you. As ReadyTalk was developing many, many years ago, and our customer base was growing and our employee base was growing, we would oftentimes get negative comments about our product not working. It's broken. Well, it was just because we didn't have a really good training program together. And since that started to pull together, there were a lot fewer negative comments saying this stuff just doesn't work, because that's usually not the case. So be aware of that. Make sure that you've got support there for you and always available to you. So this outstanding customer service side of things I think is also very important to be looking at. Technology is technology, and I'd be a fool to say, well, zeros and ones always work 100% of the time. My internet at my house never goes slow. Well, that's not true. That's absolutely not true. But what's important to me is if something's wrong, I know that I can pick up the telephone and get my question answered in a cordial way. In some cases, I just want to get an answer. What's going on? Press this number to get a report or a response. Oh, we're experiencing a fiber upgrade in this certain area. But provide that outstanding customer service. Make sure it's available to them, not at your convenience. Make sure you're being proactive in communicating these pieces. Again, really important pieces for you to be looking at to make sure there's a real human element in there. This actually gets back to that billing side of things. If you're working with an organization where they say, hey, for $50 a month you're going to get X, but really you're going to be paying $125 because all those crazy fees, well, I would also look a little bit deeper into how they say they're going to support you as well. I just want you to read this and look at this because it's all about care. We think of our customers as a family. Maybe that's a little touchy-feely, a little corny, but I think it's really important. When we get folks on the telephone, when I deliver trainings, when I'm consulting with folks, it truly does feel like that is the only customer you got at that time. So make sure that you get that feeling as well. Again, I've gotten to talk to a lot of folks with other providers. Let's just say that as far as customer support and that human element, we probably get A+ marks for that. On that note, Mike, I know I went through these high-level pieces. Is there anything you'd like to add on the human element and the customer care, things to be looking for in your provider?
No, you pretty much touched on it. What you want to know is the money you're spending. If it breaks, who do you yell at?
Yeah,
I think that's pretty much what everyone wants to know, and we're here to be yelled at.
Like Craigslist.
If you do have someone to yell at, are they in America?
Right. I kind of avoided that one, Mike, but I think that's really important. Well, on that note, let's turn things over. I'm going to talk to Bradley a little bit because I know that customer care and how you guys work with your customers is really one of the top priorities. But in your experience, what are some of the things you've seen out there with and it's kind of, some of even the larger providers? It's tough to get in touch with people. I think of Craigslist. That's a big entity. I can't get in touch with anybody at Craigslist. Yahoo. We had somebody here at work who had their account hacked into, and she couldn't contact anybody. That's ridiculous. That's ridiculous. So Bradley, from your perspective, anything you care to add on that side of things?
Sure. I mean, well, at the end of the day, when you look at Yahoo, I mean, your account got hacked, but at the end of the day, you weren't paying for the service in the first place.
Right. That, great point.
I don't know if you could expect, superior service. However,
right.
That being said, that could be a potential marketing client as well for Yahoo. So discounting that person and not providing them the right service, I think makes a difference. I think the biggest takeaway you can take from any tool that you're going to be looking at, whether it's for your CRM or whether it's for survey-type tools, I've done a lot of due diligence on different types of tools. The number one thing is look at the core features that you need as a user. Don't worry about the bells and whistles. They're most of the time absolutely useless. Yeah, they might be cool. It's going to be, have that whole neat factor. List out your requirements, then look at the important stuff. What kind of support are you going to receive? What kind of, if it's operated assistant, how does that operated assistant work in the case of a conferencing solution? And then look at the people you're dealing with, from the salesperson right up to the SE that might end up doing a demo. When you're asking questions, and ask them about the competition that you're looking at as well, and see how they respond to that. I think it's going to make a big difference in you understanding. Now, I say this having come from a sales background, so salespeople don't like talking to me, right? They really don't like talking to me because I was a salesperson. I carried a bag. I know what it is. But once I filtered through my requirements, I knew that what was most important to me was that they met my cost, right? Because like everyone else, the purses are tight, and especially if you met my CEO, you would understand why. He loves to pinch a penny, and that's fine. It's it keeps us in business, keeps job security, and that's great, and I'm more than happy to contribute. But price is very important. But at the end of the day, if I'm not being treated by a vendor the way I would treat my customers, then you lost the business, even if you have a cheaper price. Because at the end of the day, for me, it's going to be the human element, right? Even though cost is important. But if you're not going to treat me the way I would treat my customers, or the way that I would normally treat people, then you've lost. You've lost my business. That's my opinion, and I'm a huge fan of pragmatic marketing. So although my opinion is interesting, it is irrelevant, because at the end of the day, your opinion is going to matter to you or to your organization. But that's mine.
I'd agree with you. There's some times where I just mop my face with my hand when I get comments from folks in the training that say things like, I'm so impressed with how you work with us. I picked up the phone to ask a question, and someone on your team spent 40 minutes with me. I mean, the time is irrelevant, but they really made me feel important, and I'm just amazed that somebody actually spent the time to talk to me. That blows me away. I think it's so incredibly wrong for people to be that impressed by somebody getting support, by just talking to you to help you out. I just don't think that that's right. So
call Salesforce support.
Yeah.
Call Salesforce support, listen to the Hawaiian music, and you'll want to shoot yourself.
Yeah, it's terrible. It's really terrible. So, those are things that go a long way. Maybe that's a little more esoteric than maybe I wanted to get into, but I think it's just an important thing. I don't know. I think it's really important stuff to talk about. Looks like we're rounding the top of the hour. Mike, do you want to turn anything over for additional questions? I've seen a lot come in through chat, but is there anything that you guys have seen come through that we've kind of talked through that would be valuable to mention?
I think we got them all. Thanks.
Okay.
Yep.
Excellent. Excellent. Well, on that note, I'll go back around the room for our speakers today, but I want to thank everybody on the audience side of things for attending and learning a little bit more about how you can learn more about your conferencing providers, how your other vendors and providers have been evolving through technology and through these years. So thank you very much. Bradley, thank you very much once again for taking some time. It's always great working with you. I'll turn things over to you, and then we'll have Mike give some final conclusion.
Oh, absolutely my pleasure. I'll be waiting for my toaster, as mentioned in the chat.
Absolutely.
Black & Decker, preferably, please.
Excellent. We got you.
Parting notes. It's been an absolute pleasure working with ReadyTalk in the last few years. Again, people there from your sales team to your support team to your the conferencing team. Holly on the conferencing team is we have good fun talking on the phone. So it's been
fantastic.
an absolute pleasure. And again, just make sure that it doesn't come down to feature. Really look deep. Again, create the matrix. You look over it, it's going to look almost identical.
Mm-hmm.
Look at the people. Look at the cost. Look at an organization that actually listens to their customers. That is going to be the absolute key in my particular case, but I think it should be important to really anyone that's looking at a solution.
Excellent. Thanks, Bradley. Mike, anything care to add for final concluding remarks?
I think Mike actually had to jump off. He had another meeting to run into, but this is Simone. And I'm going to jump in here and wrap up the call with everybody. I think we have all the questions that were answered online, mostly directed towards people here, and so we got those answered. But I do say just thanks for everybody for taking some time to jump on the call today, and hopefully, if we didn't get to something that you are interested in, please feel free to just type yes into the chat feature, and we can follow up with you directly so we're not running over our allotted hour. But again, thank you obviously to the audience, and again to the speakers and our special guest today, Brad, who we always have fun with and has joined us for some other events as well, so we always appreciate that.
You're going to make me blush. By the way, you guys can, any of the attendees, if they want my contact information, just go through the ReadyTalk people. I'll be more than happy to talk about any of the due diligence that I did. And you could just get my contact information, ping me, and we could set up some time, and I'll be more than happy to have a discussion.
Well, that's really generous. Thanks, Bradley.
We'll definitely put that in the post-event email too, which I was going to mention. We actually have a great case study from RIMA Technologies that we'll include along with the recording and the PowerPoint deck today from the event. So hopefully that answers some additional questions for you if you are on the hunt right now. And again, take a couple of minutes to fill out the post-event survey if you get a chance. We always love your feedback, and what other topics are you interested in hearing from our series? We like putting up some new events each month, and keep an eye out. This series is going to be ongoing likely through September or October. So hopefully you come back to join us for the remaining events in this series. So we'll wrap up today's call right on the hour, it looks like. Thank you guys again so much for joining us. Hope everybody has an awesome afternoon, and hopefully we'll see you again soon in the future on another of our events in the ReadyTalk Web Seminar Series.